In this video I'll tell you all you need to know about the Minolta Rokkor-M 40mm f2 lens. Let's take a look. Hello, welcome back, Matt Osborne from MrLeica.com. So today's video I'm going to tell you all you need to know about the little Minolta Rokkor 40mm f2, which is a Leica M mount lens. And this is Leica M mount lens review number 17. So if you're new to this channel, I've already done 16 other Leica M mount lens reviews previously, and so check the playlist at the end of this video and you'll get to see all the others. I've almost reached the end of my Leica M mount lens reviews, and then I'll go on to another series of lens reviews which will follow when I finish these. Still Leica related, so if you like Leicas, hopefully you'll like it. Okay, so before we start, you may wonder why I bought the Minolta 40mm lens, and I didn't plan to. I was looking to buy the Leica Summicron 35mm f2 lens, and then by researching the 35mm lens I accidentally found the 40mm Minolta, and that led to me buying this lens instead. If you're on the market for a 35mm Summicron lens, this video may save you a fortune because you may be happy enough to get the 40mm instead and save yourself a lot of money. So first things first, price. How much does this little lens cost? I got my notes and I checked eBay before making this video, and I couldn't find any listed in the UK, but those listed in Japan on the kind of European eBay site were listing for around £350. Obviously used, you cannot buy these new. Now if you compare that to a used Leica Summicron 35mm f2 lens, they cost £1,400 based on the eBay UK. And if you're the sort of person that only likes to buy new, a new version of the 35mm Summicron is £2,700. So you could pick this up for £350 or spend £2,700 on arguably a slightly different lens, but equally it's still an f2 Summicron design style lens. So quite a huge price difference. Now in terms of size and weight, this is one of my smallest Leica M mount lenses. If you've not already seen my smallest Leica M mount lens review, I can try and include it in the description below. But that shows you all my smallest Leica M mount lenses. So if you're on the market for a small M mount lens, do check it out and hopefully it might help you out. So as you can potentially see from me holding it, this is a small lens. In terms of weight, it only weighs 105 grams, which is kind of less than 4 ounces if you're in American money, so to speak. Now to put that into some context, the Voigtlander Nocturne 40mm f1.4 lens, which I have, obviously another 40mm lens and also reasonably small. That lens is 175 grams, I believe, and this is only 105, so this is a seriously lightweight lens. It's also a very small and compact lens, giving you a really nice compact setup. I'll come on to the cameras that it relates to in a second. So in terms of lens specification, as I say, this is a 40mm f2 lens, and if it will focus, it has f-stop from f2 to f16, and that includes half-stop clicks. So you have half stops, so it's marked kind of f2, f2.8 and so on, but then it'll also let you stop half stops as well, which is quite nice if you're trying to fine tune your exposure. This is a solid all metal and glass construction, obviously like a bayonet fit, if you can see that. So it'll obviously fit your Leica M mount cameras if that's the camera that you use. If you use something like a Fuji or a Sony Micro Four Thirds, you'll need an adapter to adapt this Leica M mount lens to your various mounts. Now unlike many Leica M mount lenses that focus as close as 0.7 meters, the Minolta will only focus as close as 0.8 meters, but that's near enough for me. It's better than 1 meter. I find 1 meter not close enough for my portraits personally, so 0.8 meters is kind of welcome for me. The filter size of this lens is slightly strange, and it may not work with your current setup if you say are using 39mm filters for your standard Leica small lenses. This is actually a 40.5mm filter thread, which is kind of a more classic size, which you find on, say, some of the LTM lenses from the kind of the 1950s, 1960s. So luckily I've got lenses from that period, so I use the same kind of older filters, 40.5mm filters on the old, say, Canon LTM lenses or on the Minolta. So it's not really a problem. What I'd recommend is, if you don't currently use vintage lenses and say you've got a 43mm thread Voigtlander Nocturne, for example, you could get a 40.5 step up ring 40.5 to 43mm and then just put on your 43mm filter or 46mm filter or so on. Obviously it needs to be bigger. You cannot fit a 39mm filter to a larger diameter lens because it doesn't work. The Minolta M-Rokkor is a 10 blade lens design, and this is a version 2 of the lens, which is multi-coated. The lens has a lens tab, which personally I like and find it very useful for for focusing. And you can see how compact it is. It really is compact. Okay, so being a 40mm focal length, this is a bit of a weird one in Leica terms because Leica don't make cameras with 40mm frame lines. I guess let me clarify that. Leica M mount cameras do not have 40mm frame lines, but this was designed for the Leica CL camera, also known as the Minolta CL. If you see my Minolta CL video before, you'll see this lens in that video. Again, if I can, I'll try and link that below. But if not, just search Leica CL and you'll find it. So not many cameras actually have the 40mm frame line in the viewfinder, obviously rangefinder cameras. Two cameras that come to mind that do, obviously the Leica CL film camera, not the digital camera. It's confusing because I use both. What I mean is not the digital Leica CL camera, which is this one, but the older film camera. The Minolta CLE also, I believe, has 40mm frame lines, and then things like the Voigtlander R3A, which was designed to go with the Nocturne Classic 40mm f1.4 lens. So those three cameras, Leica CL film camera or Minolta CL film camera, Minolta CLE camera and Voigtlander R3A, all of those cameras have 40mm frame lines, and so you can use this and compose accurately, and it's not really an issue. If you use a Leica M camera, which I think many people do, the 40mm lens will bring up the 50mm frame line in your viewfinder. What that means is you need to compensate and think that your final photo is going to be wider than the 50mm frame line. If you're lucky enough to have, say, a Leica M3, the Leica M3 has got the fixed 50mm frame line, so I find it quite easy to shoot 40mm lenses because I just use the entire viewfinder, and that gives me an approximate 40mm view. One thing to point out is you need to remember and be smarter than me. If you're shooting a 40mm lens on the Leica M3, you need to not get distracted by the 50mm frame lines. I'll bring up a photo where I was thinking I was shooting a 50mm, so I composed for the 50, and then I was actually shooting a 40, this actual 40mm lens here, the Minolta. And so the final picture shows me trying to keep out the frame and actually being in the frame, because I was trying to account for the fact that I was outside of the 50mm frame, but then the 40mm focal length caught me in the actual final photo. So a good example of how not to get distracted. Now in terms of digital cameras, if you're using something like the Leica M8, Leica M9, Leica M10, Leica M240, those cameras again, they use the frame lines we're talking about, so you'll need to compensate and be wider than the 50mm frame line. Or you could just use a EVF, such as the EVF video that I've done previously, and that will let you see the full 40mm composition. Two other options that come to mind when I'm thinking shooting the 40mm lens on a digital Leica camera would be the Leica CL. So as you can see, this gives a really super small, nice setup. And then obviously the Leica CL is a EVF camera. Again, if you've not seen the review of the Leica CL, you can watch it. And I've also recently done the review of the Leica CL with autofocus lenses versus manual focus lenses. The advantage of the Leica CL with this lens is it's an EVF, meaning what you see is what you get. So when you look through the viewfinder, you'll clearly see the 40mm framing, and you don't need to guesstimate or compensate to get the exact framing. Another good example of this would be the Leica SL and the Leica SL2 cameras, because again, they're both through the lens style cameras where what you see is what you get. So it's only really a problem or something to be more aware of if you're shooting rangefinder cameras. Now in terms of lens character, I did a lot of research on Flickr, my usual process of researching gear before finally buying, and it's usually the image quality which is important to me and the deciding factor as to whether I buy a lens or not. I was more than happy when comparing the 35mm Summicron lens pictures and the 40mm Minolta lens photos that the Minolta 40mm was close enough in terms of rendering for me to buy the 40mm lens and save a small fortune, rather than still be saving up for the 35mm Summicron 12 months plus later. So in terms of rendering, I would describe it as a Summicron look, if that makes sense, if you use a Summicron or if you know how they kind of draw the pictures. It's not exact because the latest kind of Summicron lenses are kind of super duper sharp and all those kind of things, but in terms of the general look, I'd say if you're not pixel peeping, the Minolta 40 f2 should give a similar-ish look to, say, an older Leica Summicron 35mm f2. I would say when doing some research, the colours from the Minolta are slightly warmer than the standard kind of cooler colours coming from the Leica Summicron lens. In terms of sharpness, as a portrait photographer, I tend to shoot f2, so wide open, and I've had no problems. It's sharp enough for me to use it wide open, and that way I get the kind of the most pleasing kind of bokeh or out of focus background. Sometimes I may shoot at f2.8 or f4, but that would be more likely to be on film where I wanted that extra bit of sharpness, where I think on digital you have more than enough sharpness from the digital sensor. You can see from this photo that the 40mm f2 lens will give you nice subject background separation. And then in these next photos here you can see the bokeh, and the kind of bokeh balls have a kind of a slightly distinct edging, but not kind of a really sharp ring around the bokeh ball like you see on some of the lenses. I don't find it distracting, and personally I find it quite nice. Now, as I say, this is the version 2, and I decided to buy this instead of both the version 1 Minolta Rokkor and instead of the Leica Summicron 40mm. So there's also a Leica Summicron 40mm f2 that I've not spoke about, which is pretty much the same lens, but they say the Leica Summicron 40mm f2 suffers more from flare, and personally I quite like a contrasty image, so I went for the Minolta. I was happy that looking at the images from both the Summicron 40 f2 and the Minolta 40mm f2, that the Minolta is more than good enough for kind of my needs. I didn't really notice a difference. So with that said, the version 2 of this lens I find gives good contrast and only has kind of mild vignetting, which I don't really notice, and I quite like that look anyway. But if you're a pixel peeper, you'll probably notice that wide open the lens will have slightly dark cornering, which tend to then go away as you stop the lens down, as with any lens. So here are a few more example pictures. So all of these are shot with the Minolta 40mm f2 lens, both on film and digital. Now, if like me, you might want to buy the 35mm lens purely because you want to critically compose your photos using the 35mm frame lines in your Leica M camera. So what if I told you you could get 40mm frame lines for your Leica M camera? Now you might be more interested in this low price 40mm Minolta lens compared to the much higher priced 35mm Leica Summicron lens. Does that sound interesting? Well, that's exactly what I did. So to demonstrate that, here is the Voigtlander 40mm viewfinder, which gives you a really nice super bright 40mm frame lines. And in this example, I'm using the 40mm Minolta on a Voigtlander Bessa T camera. Now this is a quirky camera in that it doesn't have a viewfinder. I'm going to do a YouTube review on this at some point, so subscribe if you've not already subscribed and you're into your Voigtlander rangefinder cameras, because they are coming. So back on topic, if you fit this Voigtlander hot shoe viewfinder to your, say, Leica M6, Leica M10, Leica M, whatever M camera you've got, you can then accurately compose for your 40mm lens, and that totally gets around the problem of not being able to compose accurately with a 40mm lens. So when I found this, I was like, this is amazing. So if you can find one, they're not very easy to find. I got it as part of a camera bundle, and I bought the camera bundle because of this, mostly because I knew I could use this with both the Minolta Rokkor 40mm f2 and also my Voigtlander Nocturne Classic 40mm f1.4. Again, if you've not seen that video, it's in the playlist. And so to finish, would I recommend the Minolta Rokkor-M 40mm f2 lens? Absolutely. When you think of the price difference of the 40mm Minolta compared to the 35mm Summicron, and then if you look at enough images, there really isn't a huge difference compared to the huge difference in price tag if you're going to buy the brand new 35mm Summicron compared to the old, if you can find a Minolta 40mm. I'd highly recommend it if you're looking for a super small compact setup for, say, travel, or lightweight camera to kind of carry in your pocket all day. Even on the Voigtlander Bessa, this makes a really small setup. And if you've got the Bessa R3A, Again, I've done a review on that already. That already has the 40mm frame lines built in. So then you don't even need this. So then it's even lighter, and this is a crazy light setup. And then if I put this on the Leica CL film camera, again it's super lightweight. And equally on the Leica CL digital camera that we just looked at, again it's super small setup. So if you're on the market for a small Leica lens and you want a kind of an f2 aperture, highly recommend. This lens definitely goes in my bag when I'm traveling overseas. Now I hope you found the video useful. If you did, I'd love you to hit the like button. Do as they say, smash the like button and turn it blue. And if you've not yet subscribed to the channel and you're into kind of Leicas, model photography, vintage film cameras, hit the subscribe button and turn on your notifications, and then you won't miss future videos. If you're watching this video and you already own the 40mm Minolta lens, or perhaps you own the 40mm Summicron, I'd love to hear your thoughts as to whether you enjoy this lens as much as I do. Equally, if you use the 35mm Summicron, have you ever been tempted to get the 40mm? You could sell your lens, buy this lens, and then bank the rest of the money, or perhaps buy a second lens with a different focal length with your spare change. Let me know in the comments. As always, a big thanks to my patrons, and back soon with more videos. Bye.